Hi, and welcome back to another episode. I am excited today to have, my goodness, a very good friend of mine, fellow business owner, Laura Stevens, join me today. Now, I am going to struggle, I think, to call you Laura throughout this conversation. And I will absolutely, no doubt, default into where I'm more comfortable, which is calling you by our lovely nickname for you, which is P. Which maybe we'll explain for anybody listening that doesn't know why that is your nickname. Maybe we'll explain that a little later on. But for the meantime, let me give a little bit of an introduction as to you and why you're here on the Contagious Leader podcast. So Laura, or P, I'm doing it already, is a business owner times two. So P runs two businesses. Zoologist by, I'm going to say, trade. I know that you had, life before doing that as well, so maybe that comes out in our conversation today too. We'll find out. And my goodness, what don't you do? I think you're a volunteer firefighter, volunteer surf lifesaver. Have been doing that for 10 plus years, as far as I can recall now. But yet, all of that on the outside might sound very impressive. I think that sounds very impressive on the outside. She's shrugging already. She's like, what? No way. That sounds very impressive on the outside. But yeah, we know that for so many of us, and certainly for Laura sitting here, it's like this feeling of no big deal, yikes. And so Laura has very kindly, well, I don't know, did you volunteer or did I just ask and you said yes?
I think I got absolutely roped into it because we're such good pals. Yeah, so be gentle with me. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, be gentle. I will. Would I not be? But volunteered, stroke roped into sharing some of that, I'm going to say, journey, decisions behind the scenes and kind of how she's got to where she is today. Bearing in mind that for sure that hasn't been an easy ride. Well, when is it ever an easy ride? And particularly more recently with the launch of your second business, which I'm so excited to unpack and hear more about, and some of the, I guess, imposter syndrome and self-doubts and feelings that you absolutely, she's taking those deep breaths again, feel behind the scenes when going through that launch process and, the ongoing journey and juggling all of those other things that I've mentioned you do in the background as well in life. So Laura, I can't say Laura, I've got to say P. I've just got to say P. P, I would love to know, to kick us off and welcome you into the conversation. Thank you, by the way. I know that all of those things mean that you are super, super busy, juggling everything, juggling life. But thank you so much for giving your time to share that. For a number of reasons, I think it's a very important story for people to hear, and to share that outside versus inside and what's going on behind the scenes. So I really appreciate your time. But to kick us off and bring you into the conversation, perhaps I would love to know, and I'll give you a second to think about this if you need it, when you hear the phrase contagious leader, so when you hear the phrase contagious leader, what does it ring true to you, or what does it mean to you? What comes to mind?
Yeah, what does it mean to me? To be quite honest, I would never see myself as a leader or leadership role or anything like that. So I suppose from my point of view, leadership would always be looking at somebody else, somebody that is very successful, somebody that is very together, kind of somebody that I would admire, somebody that I would look up to. I mean, I know we're going to talk about imposter syndrome and all of that kind of stuff today. We've touched on it. So I guess that goes hand in hand with that I would never consider myself a leader in any regard. And I do know that at various things that I do, sort of fire brigade and that kind of stuff, there's always that sort of question from my captain and things, leadership roles. And I always shy away from it, basically. It kind of terrifies me. So leadership is something that I see in other people, and that would be very scary for me to think about me trying to lead anybody, to be honest.
Yeah. So it's someone that you would look up to, that you would admire, but yet certainly not something you would see yourself as being.
Definitely not. No, absolutely not. With it comes with an element of responsibility as well, which is also something that I shy away from in many ways. But yeah, I
Well,
definitely
that's
see
hilarious.
something up there for other people.
Yeah. Okay. Something for somebody else to do, something that's up there for other people, and something that quote unquote you would shy away from. Interesting.
Definitely.
Okay. And so I would read from what you're saying, it's like this in this, the understanding to you is like leadership and correct me if I'm wrong, I might be hearing you wrong, but it's like you're understanding leadership or thinking of leadership as being like these dedicated people leadership roles, like leading other people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, completely. Success and proven success and, all of the skills that come with that and the backstory that comes with that. Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, alrighty. And so, question for you. If we were to take away the people element of what you consider leadership to be, do you see yourself as a leader in any way, in any capacity?
Well, if I'm completely honest, a leader would not be, when you kind of think about words that to describe yourself and things like that, leader or leadership wouldn't be on my radar. There are other words that I would use or like to think for myself, but leadership, leader, no, no.
No, shying away from it. Yeah, okay. Literally putting your hands up to put the brakes on. No
Yeah.
way, not me. Yeah. I did laugh at, what was I laughing at? Oh, when you said there would be other words that I would use to describe myself, I was curious to know what they were, if they were appropriate.
As soon as I said it, I thought she's going to pick at that. Um, it depends on the scenario, of course, but again, this is work, but this is also life and all the rest of it. I mean, I would consider myself somewhat sort of courageous in some ways. Is one word that I kind of, it's a bit flattering, a self-flattering, I kind of think, but that would be how I would see myself a little more in the things that I do, whether it is starting businesses or fire brigade or life saving, or as you know, moving from the other side of the world. That is probably a word that I feel a bit more comfortable describing myself as.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess as part of the team rather than in charge, kind of.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and no right or wrong answer. It's just curious to understand what how you see it, what it means to you when you hear it. So courageous, I mean, we can't deny that, right? You're physically putting yourself in front of blazing fires that most people are trying to run away from and get away from, and you're volunteering yourself to go out there and fight them. And likewise, similarly in the ocean here in Perth, I mean, most people, well, many people, not most, many wouldn't even go in the water in the first place, let alone go in to save somebody else, right? So now, granted, I know that you don't actually do a lot of physically saving people because fortunately, there's not too much of that actual requirement. Everyone's pretty capable, all good, tick, tick, tick. But still, you are trained to do so, and you serve your time and you give your time to be there in the event that is,
Yeah,
a genuine requirement for
yeah,
sure, right? So,
absolutely. Yeah.
okay. And so I would love to know then, when you this courageous side of you, you move from the other side of the world to do all of these things. Actually, what was the thinking fire brigade and surf club? What was the kind of trigger or the impetus for you to actually get involved in those?
Yeah, good question. Surf Club, I've been a member of Swanbourne Surf Club for 14 years, which has whizzed by.
Yeah, I
And
thought it was 10,
actually,
so yeah.
yeah, yeah. So actually, I went along to support a friend of ours. So in fact, I didn't really know what I was signing up to, and we kind of went around the room and, what are your reasons for joining? And everybody said all these. So I don't really know what I'm doing here. And they said, well, the red and yellow people on the beach to save everybody else. That is what you're signing up to. I guess I went along initially for that to support a friend, and then I suppose I could have given it away, but I stuck with it for quite a lot. I have stuck with it for quite a long time. And I think, once I've committed to something, I commit, really. With Fire Brigade, the motivation was different for Fire Brigade. I spend in my actual day job, I spend a lot of time in the bush and I see the impact of fire and how that affects the environment, the flora, the fauna. And so my motivation for that was to sort of try and limit that damage if I could, or as much as I could. So that was definitely sort of linked to things that I am passionate about, I suppose, in my professional life.
And for the context, what's the professional life you're talking about here? The zoologist
Yes.
side?
Apologies. Yes.
No, no, good, yeah.
So my profession, I'm a zoologist. So basically, I survey animals all around Western Australia as part of an environmental approval process.
Hmm.
So I spend a lot of time in the bush.
Counting koalas and kangaroos.
Definitely not koalas on the West Coast, but yeah, some roos.
Yeah, no, that's just my joke, right? I know there's no koalas on the West Coast. Okay, and so slightly different motives then for for each surf club. Well, surf club, interestingly then, so surf club was to go and support a friend. You figured out why you were even there, and then decided to stick with it, and blinking 14 years later, you're still going. Fire brigade was linked to the zoologist type work and kind of protecting the environment that you spend so much time in. What's been the driver for you to stick with the surf club volunteering for so long then?
Yeah, now sometimes I ask myself the same question when I am at a fire front. I think once I've committed to something, I stick with it. It takes quite a lot for me to sort of pull back from something or to walk away from something. That has its pluses and minuses, of course. But I think once I've committed to something, I'm all in, you know. That's probably one of the big stickers. I mean, I then have these amazing communities that I'm part of, that do amazing work, and I feel proud to be part of that community as well. So that's probably a big part of the commitment. You know, I've committed to them, they've committed to me, and we're doing kind of good things for whether it's for people or the environment or what have you. I think that sort of approach to life is quite important to me.
Yeah. So you're not a quitter. You're going to stick it through. That's what I'm hearing. You're going to stick it through if you've committed to something, and then the community and the connection and the friendships, right? No doubt that you get
Absolutely.
from both of those things too have become a huge part of actually who you are and how you live your daily life, even if you're not there volunteering on the fire field or at the beach or what have you. So 14 years so far with the surf club. You reckon you'll just see it right through to retirement? How does that work? When does one stop this?
Well, now you've got to do 10 years to get long service leave, so I can ease back from patrols. I haven't as yet, but I think, I am starting to think there are lots of balls that I sort of juggle in my life. And so I am starting to think, can I juggling them all and keeping them in the air, or do I need to kind of pull back or change how I'm doing some of things? And that's definitely a sort of a question in my mind at the moment. So I might have a year or two where I'm a non-trolling member at Surf Club. We'll see.
Yeah. So that sounds like stay for the fun and the connection and the friendships and just kind of don't do the hard work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
I've
Well,
done the
that's
hard
it.
work now for the fun.
Aha, yeah, that's what I was going to say. It sounds like that you've done the hard yards and now you're entitled almost to, you've earned your stripes, you can pull back and, you know,
Yeah,
and do something. Be there and what's the word I'm looking for? Contributing on a different level.
absolutely. And still be committed and still have that community and be part of that world. But, am I getting too old to be running around, perhaps?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go there. So you said running around.
Yeah.
When you talk around, well, this idea, outside looking in, people would hear what you do. Surf club, fire brigade, two businesses, one of which we know is in the zoologist field, and the other we'll come on to because I want to hear more around that. But I'm saying to you, that's impressive outside looking in. What's your
Yeah.
take on it?
My take. Look, I would think exactly the same thing if I was looking at somebody else. I'd be like, "Wow, she's got her life sorted, her stuff together. Look at all the things that she's doing." When I look at myself, I guess I just think, yes, there are lots of things that I've got in my life, but I would consider myself a jack of all trades and a master of none. I feel like I'm kind of pretty average at everything I do. I kind of go okay, but I would only ever give myself a 50% pass mark on anything I do, really. So it's funny, isn't it? We look at everybody around us and we have our opinions of how they're doing or their life or their choices and all of that kind of stuff. And we're our own biggest sort of critics at times. I can be really hard on myself. And I question myself constantly.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you're not alone, right? Like this, everybody, is why you're on this podcast because, one of the reasons, because I think it's really important for people to know that, okay, here's this person that outside looking in, it would be easy on paper to go, wow, all of those things you just said, she's got it together, all those things we've mentioned already. But yet, well, let's hear the real life. Let's see
Yeah.
what's really going on because so many people are or would be maybe beating themselves up because they feel like, oh my goodness, I should have this all together. I should be feeling more confident. I should be able to do these things. And I'm not. And it's that comparison that can trip us up. I say us to include myself for a reason. and trip us up and leave us feeling subpar, like we're not good enough, all of these things. But actually, when we hear from somebody who, like yourself, is saying, ah, yeah, actually, no, me too, it's really powerful, right? It's a really powerful share. It's a really powerful for other people to hear, to know that, okay, actually, what I'm feeling is actually experienced by others. It's almost normal. Well, it is normal, and that it's okay, and I can still achieve good things without having to have this feeling of always being on, or always having that confidence, or whatever it might be. Like, that's okay, and we can still
I,
achieve things like what you've done.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I think it's funny. I mean, you own your own business, same here. We are successful business women. I think as women, we have this sort of almost inherent sort of questioning ourselves. There are lots of fellas that just have this kind of endless courage to just crack on, whereas I think women, we question everything that we do. I think there is that sort of, we're always looking sort of up, or they're doing better, or I should be doing more, or I should be this, I should be that, without recognizing maybe how far we have come and how well we are doing. But yeah, that constant sort of self-doubt, it's omnipresent in many ways. And you've kind of got to just push on through as much as you can. But yeah, I mean, we can all be very hard on ourselves and very full of judgment for ourselves and think we should do more and better and bigger and faster, whatever it is, without sort of taking a moment to recognize actually you're going all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's that kind of looking back. And I encourage my clients to do this, and I do it myself, although probably should do it more because it's easy, take kind of, what's the phrase, kind of take my own medicine, take my own advice type thing.
Yeah, medicine,
But
absolutely.
that point of looking back and thinking, well, hold on a minute, sure, I might not yet be where I truly want to be, like on my ultimate goal or my
Yeah.
ultimate objective here, but yet, where was I versus where am I now, and
Yeah.
how much have I accomplished along the way, and what wouldn't have happened had I not taken those steps, or what wouldn't have happened had I not taken that first step.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I talk around confidence compounding. Confidence, we get more confident in doing things by taking action,
Definitely.
and then that confidence compounds the more that we do something. We get more confident to do the next thing and the next thing, and for you, I wonder, and I'll throw this to you as a question, because why? That's what we're here for. We're here for that, and I don't have to wonder. I can just ask you. But I wonder if part of, you started your first business how many years ago now?
So it was 2018, so 7 almost years ago.
Okay, great. 7 years ago,
Hello.
yeah. Running successfully, all wonderful things, and then back end of last year started your second business, back end of 2025 officially.
Launched it. There's a backstory to
Launched.
that, but
Okay,
launched it,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So when I think, okay, so for sure. So first kind of took action then to say, okay, I'm going to do this second business, kind of started it in that sense. I wonder if, had you not done business one, whether you would have done business two. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've definitely got some thoughts. But the idea for the second business, which we'll cover, but it was an idea that came to me donkeys years ago, and then
Mm.
actually went in the too hard basket. And then 2018, I started Western Ecological, and that all has gone very well. And there was absolutely a thought process. Well, I've started one business. Absolutely, I can start another. If I've done one, I can do another. If I'm successful in one, I can be successful in another. I've learned so much from the first one, I can implement that in my second, which is all true, but they're very, very different industries. So, they're that driver of I've done one, I can do definitely motivated me. And for sure, I think if I hadn't started Western Ecological, I think Bounce Down would still be in the too hard basket, really. So it definitely gave me that confidence to think that, yes, I can make this happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, got it. Yeah, it's interesting for sure. And I could see, like, I only have one business, but I could see how, you take the leap of faith once. For me, and you would have been similar back in the day, 2017, 18, whenever it would have been, you leave the comfort zone of corporate world. For me, I'd done it, worked in the same industry for 17 years, the same company for 14 years. It wasn't an easy decision to leave that comfort zone to step out into the uncomfortable, the new, Going in, diving deep, absolutely. And all of the challenges that come with that. It wasn't an easy one. It was driven by, really, for me, fundamentally aligning to what I knew I wanted and needed for me, my life, and alignment fundamentally to what I knew would lead to a more fulfilling life for me. So it was driven by that purpose. So, would I have more guts now, confidence to do a number two? To do a number two, to start a second business. That's hilarious. Start a second business.
Yeah,
If I hadn't have started the first one, I mean, yeah, I would be more confident to do that, of course. And that's
yeah.
that point of compounding confidence, like we say. So, P, let's hear then about, you've mentioned the word bounce down. So what is bounce down? What is the second business that you've boldly and courageously taken action yet again to go and launch?
Yeah. So yeah, bounce down. Essentially, it came from sort of all my time at surf club, having to have that mix of swimming and running around in a swimsuit with an E-cup bust. So I've got quite a big chest. And it was a lack of being able to find something that was suitable for these activities that I was now doing. So bounce down is a swimsuit with yeah, swimsuit brand that is for D plus ladies who are active. And that's our kind of point of difference. They're active in the ocean. So whether they are doing competitive, ocean swims or triathlons or surfing or all those things where really you need your bus to be really looked after, and secure and supported. That's where we're different to other sort of swimwear brands. So, I mean, we launched in December just gone, completely new industry, completely new everything for me. And as much as I said earlier, oh, I've launched one business, I can launch another. That's true, but so much to learn, so much that I had no idea about. And so it's been a tougher business to start, without a doubt. In ecological, I was networked, it was my skill set, my profession, I knew it, so it was fine. It was easy, really, relatively. Bounce down is a whole different ball game, really, or different boot game. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, formally launched December 2024. But yeah, I mean, I probably feel that I've been working on it as a business with some kind of conviction for the preceding sort of 4 or 5 years. And that was developing the product and finding people that could help me get the idea out of my head. I'm not artistic, I'm not creative, I don't have any of those skill sets. So finding experts that could help me, I guess, bring that sort of vision to light, really, and engaging experts as I've gone along that journey to enable me to sort of bring it to life and launch it as a company. So yes, while it's new to the market, it's been a part of my life, my heart for 5 years, I guess, for sure. I mean, the original idea was many years ago, 10 years ago. Um, but yeah, Bounce Down's been part of my life for definitely the past 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and huge and no small undertaking, right? To do that, particularly for a product-based business like it is.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, well, even for you in Western ecological, it's a service-based business predominantly. Is that fair to say? Like, yeah, would you
Absolutely.
consider
Yeah.
it that? So
Yeah.
there's no, in terms of, and for me in my coaching, there's no, if it didn't work or whatever, there's really no major outlay in terms of
Yeah.
overheads and investment up front, training or education, of course, all those things, certifications, licenses, sure, but really compared to a product
Yes.
based business such as Bounce Down as a swimwear brand and a very specialized niched swimwear brand at that's
Yeah.
taken years worth of expertise to design a product that actually works as opposed to just shop, that actually serves its purpose and serves its purpose very, very well.
Yeah.
That's taken a lot of investment, right? But of course, financial, time, all of those things to get there. So when you say earlier you consider yourself to be courageous, sure, like that makes sense, right? Like it is a courageous, bold move. I feel like you're starting to sweat as I'm honing this point. You're like, yeah, I know. I feel it. Stop saying it.
No, it's true, Thain. It's a good point. When I say courageous, I also would throw into that I quite like risk. I'm not a risk adverse person in how I approach my life. So I think the two kind of go hand in hand. But yeah, I mean, a product-based business is so completely different, and there's been a lot of financial investment because it's not just a product, it's a product that I have created, I have invented, I have developed. So much of that journey has been getting that product to a place where it says, it does what it says on the tin kind of thing. I wanted to focus very much on big busts. So if I'm saying I give you support, it absolutely has to support. So there's been a lot of time, there's been a lot of energy, there's been a lot of love, there's been lots of guidance from friends who, can bring their expertise, like yourself, and a few of our other friends, and then other people that I've engaged on that journey. Yeah, I mean, it's been a far more sort of bold, risky, courageous journey than Western ecological for sure. It's got a very different energy. It's a very different market. It's different everything. It's almost like the antithesis basically of my day job, really. And this one is at times a labor of love, really. It's hard work, but then it comes back to that sort of commit where once I've committed to something, it takes a lot for me to pull back. Um, and even though it's very hard at the moment and it's new and it's niche and all of that kind of stuff, I'm so committed to it and I see nothing but good and growth and potential for it and a really good product for my busty sisters out there that will feel that gap in the market that I did.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, whilst I'm not one of those busty sisters, I well, the only way to do that would be to have a boob job, and that doesn't qualify, right? Because then we don't need support. So,
I only want the real girlies, please.
so I just don't qualify. But that's okay, But I have seen that labor of love in you for all of those years and seen that product come to life and seen your early customers, early adopters, let's call them, take that product and run with it, quite literally. And seen the result of that, which again, outside looking in, and I know that I think you've said it, you're super proud of what you've done, but outside looking in again, that's bold, it's courageous, it's contagious because it inspires other people to go, geez, okay, like you can do that. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe I could do something too. And whether it's a kid who, looks up to you, and I know you've got, stories of this with your fire brigade stuff in particular,
yeah,
where you've had, young, oh my goodness, what was the example you had? You had two of our friends, young boys, playing together
yeah,
and saying,
yeah,
one of them maybe said, oh, women can't be fire people or whatever, and then one of them corrected the other one saying, yeah, they can, da da da, because of you, right? Because of
yeah,
the time that you had spent with them,
yeah,
and you are a woman and you are a volunteer firefighter, and that 4 year old or 3 year old, whatever, connected the dots and saw what was possible. Like, you could underestimate that. You could think that is changing the game for beliefs that you and I, our parents' generation for sure, grandparents for even surer, have had ingrained in their minds, all of our minds, that these stereotypes that
yeah,
exist for certain professions or certain trades or what have you.
yeah,
That is leading the change, leading the charge. And to my mind, that's what I talk around when I think around contagious leadership is,
yeah,
you're leading the way with that. It's not about necessarily leading people. You are
yeah.
indirectly leading people.
I mean, I think you're right. I think you're right, Thaini. It's about sort of, inspiring people as well. And I do tend to push the envelope a little bit in how I live my life. And I kind of push against that sort of stereotypical, this is what certain people should be doing because of whether it's their sex or where they're from or whatever. I tend to try and push against that. And it was lovely, seeing the boys and they're like, we're being fire girls, not fire boys, fire girls. And they were two gorgeous little boys being fire girls. And it was beautiful, and it really touched my heart. And it was lovely. So you're right, that kind of, whether it's leadership or it's some kind of contagious element or inspiration or all of that kind of stuff, it is there. I guess I kind of shy away from it in a sort of acceptance piece. I just question myself all the time, really,
Mhm. Mhm.
even with those lovely stories. I mean, I'd forgotten about that really, but yeah, it's lovely. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. If I was to almost put my coaching hat on here and remind you of what you said to me earlier, which was that the importance of reflecting back and thinking about where was I, where am I now, what have I done, what have I achieved, and what impact have I had along that way. To take the time to actually reflect on those micro moments of those 2, 3, 4-year-olds playing and and to think, okay, well, what might that mean? And remind yourself, all of ourselves, of these moments that actually help to further develop and build our own confidence, to back ourselves, to keep running the race that we want to run. Like, those are the things that, it's a simple thing, but it's so, so powerful, just that reflection, right? So glad it reminded you.
Absolutely. And I think sort of being like, I can be really hard on myself, but like being kind of gentle to yourself, really, and having a moment where, you do say, okay, well, sorry, I'll never say, oh, you're doing really well. I'll never say that about myself. But sometimes I feel myself saying, okay, well, that's okay. You're going all right there. You're going all right. That's as much praise as I'll ever give myself. But yes, I mean, having those moments where you do take a breath, take a pause and say, all right, you're going okay. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, yeah. And I think as well, like taking it out of how you see yourself and maybe considering how other people might see this. And,
Yeah.
because you're right, even the most, I don't know, like self-aware, self-developed, self-loving person probably still has moments where we are always harder on ourselves than we would be on somebody else, or somebody else ever typically would be on us, right?
Absolutely.
Particularly as a high achiever, particularly as somebody with high expectations, all the perfectionist tendencies, all these things, which, most people listening to this podcast probably have to a certain degree, otherwise they probably wouldn't be listening. It's that strive for more, 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 and actually taking a step back and thinking, well, okay, this is how I see myself, but where's all my evidence to prove that actually I'm doing a good job? That's a reflection piece. And then secondly, how might somebody else see this again, and just take a bit of a blue sky view of how we might be seen and being perceived, I think can be really super powerful as well.
I saw a little thing recently, when it's talking about kind of how hard we can be on ourselves. And it's like, talk to yourself how you would talk to yourself as a little girl. And you'd never say, that's kind of all right, but you're not doing very well there. You'd be like, look at what you're doing, look how well you're doing. And so, it's kind of being gentle to that little girl that's still inside you somewhere, and recognizing the journey that you've been on, that maybe you're going okay, and taking the positives rather than, beating yourself up about it, and being so insecure or unsure, and that imposter syndrome, which is kind of, present across so many of us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I say it all the time, but depend on what survey you read, 70 to 80+% of the population suffers from imposter syndrome. So it's very normal. It's not to say it's right, but it's normal. It's very normal. And actually, I'm always a big fan of thinking that, imposter syndrome, perfectionism, like any of these things, these traits that generally have a bad connotation or a bad reputation. I always think and encourage certainly my clients to think, well, they're not necessarily a bad thing in and of themselves. They're only a bad thing if they impact you or somebody else or a situation negatively in some way, or stop you in some way. So if you're living perfectly with all of this imposter syndrome and still achieving all the things you want to do, and you're being a nice person in society, all this good stuff, is it such a bad thing if it's not holding you back to actually have it? Maybe it's not. Perfectionism, the same thing, right?
I agree. And I do think that elements of these traits, let's call them, are the things that do probably push you further, do push you more, do keep you committed, do kind of think, oh, I'm going to risk this, or I'm going to start this, I'm going to do that, or I'm going to push myself more. There are definitely positive elements to them that kind of forge you forward a little bit. Definitely, it's not all negative. And it, is important to look at it and go, okay, well, it's not holding me back. At times, in fact, it's pushing me forward. So there's definitely positive elements to it. I mean, the perfectionist piece, absolutely. I mean, that's just going to keep you striving more and more and more as well. So yeah, I guess it's how you balance it, really, and having that awareness of it, and how you don't let it hold you back or overwhelm you, which overwhelm is a whole other kettle of fish, of course.
A conversation for another day, maybe. Look at that, she wants to come back already. Interesting. And so that's a good segue, P, into a question around this imposter syndrome piece for you. So you're courageous, but yeah, imposter syndrome for you and this self-doubt, and you're only ever doing things at, 50% what you think you could or should be, da da da. So how are you actually balancing those two, right? So how are you, again, outside looking in, the courageous side of you is dominating, right? Really. You're taking the action in spite of all of these fears. You're taking the action in spite of the self-doubts and so on. So how are you managing to keep that imposter syndrome under control, if you're even consciously aware of it?
I mean, some of it will be, I can be really kind of stubborn, let's say. I suppose some of it, though, are the things that we've sort of touched on there about not letting it sort of take over, recognizing it, but also being slightly gentle with yourself and realistic, taking a moment to sort of recognize that. So not letting it sort of fill you full of doubt and fear, recognizing it, and thinking, well, am I going to let this stop me doing anything that I want to do? No, I'm not going to. I'll recognize it, but I'm not going to let it hold me back, So I suppose, I guess, having an awareness of it and how to, like, really, I guess, consciously balance it or keep it in its place, I suppose, recognize it, but don't let it hold you back or overwhelm or stop you.
Mm-hmm.
And not let too much fear come in or anything like that. If you want something badly enough, if you work hard enough, and if you're diligent and you try and put all your checks and balances in place, hopefully some of those things will kind of come to fruition for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. It's a balance and a fine balance, though,
Yep,
right? And not
yep.
always easy to do. So we could say just
Mm.
push on regardless, but then it's thinking around. Well, then what are we doing in the background to make sure that we are looking after ourselves? So all of the well-being piece, getting good sleep. I know we've spoken about that recently, and that wow, that sleep
Yeah,
is just interrupted. Da da da. Be it stress, be it hormones, be it shifts in, what are they called, seasons,
yeah,
all of these pieces that can impact us, of course, naturally as humans, but it's making sure that we've got that right foundation in place, doing the right things to look after ourselves, if we are carrying that consistency of doubt, of fears, of second guessing, and so on. It's
yeah,
filling the cup back up, because
yeah.
even though it might not be conscious, or we might not be conscious that is in some way eating away at you, it
Mm.
really is for the most part. And so balancing that our own resilience as well is so important.
So important, you're right. And I think, I'm trying hard now that I'm balancing two businesses, trying to strike that balance between one business, the other business, surf club. I mean, surf club's only sort of half the year, and then firefighting, and then, gosh, friendships and fitness and relaxing and all of that kind of stuff. It is hard to balance. And I've definitely found a higher level of stress in my life in the past, I'd say 8 months really. It's really tough at the moment, and I've got to try and really schedule my, it sounds crazy, but really schedule my diary and schedule in time with friends or going for a swim, going for a surf. I've taken up Pilates recently, which is very gentle for me and a really new sort of experience, but I'm really enjoying that sort of calming nature of it. It's hard, but the calming sort of feel of it, and the gentle feel of it. But you've got to really try hard to balance things. And if you've got a schedule in to try and get that balance, I think that's, a positive way of trying to do it. But I also think, having a community around you and a support group of friends that will help you or recognize things and sort of be there for you and be your sort of pressure valve at times and that kind of stuff, and take your mind off things or be there when you need some help. Having that network, and for us, that's a sort of a sisterhood of support. I think that's really important and really special, but it needs nurturing. And I can be quite, I work away a lot, and so I can be quite hard to pin down. And therefore, it is hard to kind of fit everything in. So looking after yourself, that can be another kind of complexity, but it's so important, because if you
Mm.
don't do it, you get sick. And that's what happened to me, of course, for the past couple of weeks.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, you've got to take time to look after yourself, but I have to schedule it in. I do. Yeah.
Yeah. And fair to say, I think most people are in the same boat. If they've got a busy life, they might have kids, jobs, high achieving or high pressure roles of whatever kind, be it a mother, be it a partner, a business owner, a leader in a corporate, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Those pressure points that we can all experience, it has to be for most people a conscious decision to build these things in. But I also know, certainly for myself, and I'm sure you would agree, and from the work that I do and from the clients that I work with, often it can be that the focus on well-being can be one of the first things that we let go of when the pressure rises and when stress rises.
Definitely.
Ironically,
Yeah.
because it's no, I've got to get this task done. No, I've got to make this sale or whatever it might be. I've got to look after the kids. They come first, and the well-being or the self-care routines and rituals are cut because we need more time or more mental time, and it is completely counterintuitive and only spirals one way and very fast and doesn't end well, as we know. And whether it's getting a head cold or whether it's getting something more serious, you know, we need to be really mindful and conscious of that. What I love about what you said, and you touched on it earlier too, is that you're leaning on, as best as you can, your support networks, be it friendships. And I know in your businesses, you haven't done it alone either. You know, you've done a lot of it by yourself. I'm not taking that away from you by any means, but you know, you have leaned on individuals to support with skill sets that you don't necessarily have, stroke aren't your strong suit, so that you're not doing it alone, and so that you're not feeling like you have to suddenly upskill yourself in all of these other areas that you probably, quite frankly, have zero interest in learning. Zero patience, right?
It's true. You know, with Western Ecological, I've got a business partner, and he is far more experienced and knowledgeable and smart, you know, far more than me. So that's kind of easy in a way. That one year, so that's easy. With Bounce Down, I've definitely engaged in some regard, you know, people that have got all the skill sets that I need. I mean, I don't know anything about design. I don't know anything about social media. I don't know anything about so many different elements to Bounce Down. These are, you know, every day is a school day at the moment, and it's exhausting. So I have, you know, leaned on a community and connections and that kind of stuff to bring in, usually for Bounce Down, it's women, you know, in their areas of expertise. And I love, I mean, there are a couple of guys that kind of do things for Bounce Down, but mostly it's women. And I love to have that community of really empowered, successful, confident women that are in their space and sharing in this kind of group activity, I guess, you know, bringing their skill sets and this beautiful energy. And so, yeah, absolutely, I've leaned into finding people to help me on this journey. Yeah. I will continue to do so. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why would you stop doing that now? You've done that since day one. So,
Yeah.
you know, which a lot of people don't, right? A lot of people would start the business or the idea, the whatever it was that they were doing, could be learning to swim, right? Which is my thing. And try and do it all by themselves from the get-go, and then only when they realize that they can't, or that it's too hard, or that they're failing, and then seek to others who have walked the path before them to turn to support, right? So doing it from the start, absolutely. No one who has achieved anything great has done it by themselves for the most part.
No, absolutely. You know, and we're mammals, we're social beings, and we need our other, you know, people around us. And that is where that's where we're at our best, when we're coming together as a community and people, you know, that's when we're happiest, and that's how we should be. Yeah.
I love that you brought in a bit of zoology chat there, just showing off your expertise. Oh, we're mammals, we're social beings, and we're meant to be in packs and blah 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 blah. Aren't we meant to like co-sleep at night? That's a thing, isn't it? I mean, obviously, I know you don't do relationship.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, for sure. But P, thank you so much for sharing all of what you've shared today, and for being vulnerable enough to actually sit here and have the conversation, you know, recorded, because it's not the first time we've had these types of conversations, of course, but actually to record it, like I said earlier, to allow others to hear it and just help, even if it's just a small percent of just shifting that belief that, okay, I can too, or somebody who on the outside looks like they've got it all together and they would never have any doubt, surely, because they do all of these big, bold, courageous things in life and take these big, bold, courageous decisions. Actually, no, they have feelings like I have too. Look at that. Okay, cool. Maybe I can do it then. To inspire somebody or you know, multiple people perhaps to see what's possible for them is amazing. And so I really, really appreciate your time, and I appreciate you being vulnerable enough to admit, yeah, I really doubt myself all the time, guys.
You're very welcome, Sadie, and I can kind of hold my cards close to my chest when it comes to that sort of vulnerability piece. So it's been somewhat cathartic, so thanks very much. But yeah, I mean, it's been a pleasure, and if anything that I've said has helped anybody to be inspired and kind of chase some dreams and go after what they want to, then get amongst it, absolutely, and don't let things hold you back. Recognize it and just go for it anyway. Punch on through, really. Yeah.
That's the risk taker in you.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, if anybody here listening wants to learn more about Bounce Down and follow the journey, or try on a suit, all the good things, where can they find you? You've mentioned social media a couple of times, so you have your crew running that for you now, I know. So where can they find Bounce Down?
I do have an amazing team. Yeah, so we are on, at the moment, we're kind of going onto all the socials. So Instagram is bouncedown_swimwear. Our website is bouncedown.com.au. We're starting out onto the old TikTok and Facebook and that kind of stuff. So if you just Google Bounce Down or Bounce Down Swimwear, it will take you to all of these places. Yeah, and look, it looks good, and I'm excited for the future of Bounce Down, seeing how many busty ladies I can look after.
Yeah, I'm also excited. I'm just excited for many reasons, but yeah, because I have been involved as your friend on the outside throughout the journey. It's just been so good to see it actually come to life, and I should have worn my Bounce Down t-shirt actually. I think I've told you, but I do. I have been known to wear my Bounce Down t-shirt when I'm not volunteering to help you out at a surf stall somewhere,
I
and
love
just to
it.
wear it to the shops if that's
Wear it as
okay.
often as you want to, sweetheart.
It's a very comfortable t-shirt. I
It's
like it.
great.
Yeah, I do like it. Yeah, maybe when you do some more colours and whatnot in the suits, we can get some new t-shirts in the
We
colours.
can get all sorts. The sky is the limit with Bandstand, I think, definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. I mean, this is how I think. I'm just like, could I just get another free t-shirt? But just one reason why I want you to succeed. Alrighty. Listen, we're going to leave it there. So again, thank you so much, P, for coming on and sharing your time and your journey. We'll wrap it up. Have a wonderful day or week ahead of you whenever you're listening to this, and we will be back very soon.